Slava Ukraine!
So we're Vanderbilt board as a humanitarian team from the UK who are here to deliver essential aid to vulnerable Ukrainian people. So we have Fenton, Henry, Steve, Darren, hello, and our translator Edward. The fleet. We also have a great guy who joins us called Justin from Justin Ukraine Aid, and he helps us with transport and also acquiring aid to distribute. So cheers, Justin. So as you can see, the temperature has started to majorly drop in Ukraine. Snow absolutely everywhere. This will be our last trip for the winter because it's not safe for us to be out there over the winter. Temperatures can drop as low as -15, and for us it's, you know, there's nothing more embarrassing than going out there with a load of kit, the vehicle's breaking down because it's no cold, and having to sit there and sort of beg to be rescued by the local army division.
Definitely a piece of human who really lying for the Russian citizens.
So while we were visiting Lyman to drop off essential supplies to people who had just been liberated, we got introduced and went with a local army guy.
And talking there, fighting against neo-Nazis, but it's ridiculous. It's really trash talk, real trash talk.
He was part of the assault which had retaken the area back earlier in the month, and was a very interesting guy to talk to.
Nobody here is neo-Nazis, you know. We're just people who live in our lives, and this man decides to change our plans. So what can I say? He will find his grave, maybe not here, but in Russia. It's probably war against Ukraine. It's his last actions in this planet, in his life. If they want to stop war, they can do this inside the army, the government, but they decide another way. The people have another way to stop this. For example, go to the strikes in the Russia and stop this. If everyone to go to the strikes, I'm sure that they can to stop this, I don't know, psycho.
As you can see, there's very poor visibility. It's not ideal at all for driving, but it's quite helpful with us because at least it means we're going to be kept out of sight from the Russians, I guess. Ukrainian roads are dreadful, Ukrainian drivers are interesting, and add in the fog and it's a recipe for disaster, so we're all hoping it's going to be okay. So we're here back in Milivoje. This was the village we had to escape from the other day when we came under cruise missile attack. So one of the frustrating things is this village was liberated on the 8th of November. It had been under Russian occupation for 8 months. So a lot of the villagers are very happy with their newfound freedom, but some of them are still collaborators. So we have to be very careful who we support and who we engage with here, because the worry is if we tip off the Russian collaborators that were in the village, they'll radio the Russians again and we'll get artillery coming in. We've already heard a few booms and small arms fire while we've been here, and we just got to be very careful we don't put the people in this village at risk as well as the team.
Local told me, guys, no, not too much stay, change position because yesterday give humanitarian and come down.
So we just finished distributing. As you could see, when humanitarian aid is here, the whole entire area and who remains will come out to receive aid. The residents have gone back in to hide from the explosions, which have just been non-stop since they braved them to come out to see us to collect the aid they need to survive. We've been supporting people here who've been living in basements, begging us for blankets, so we gave them our personal blankets as well, so they can keep warm. No one comes here. It's a pretty sorry state of affairs. We've just dropped off supplies in Zaporizhia, below there mattresses for a refugee centre, and the guy who runs the centre's taken us here and said this is where some of the people who are in the centre have come from, this house. The only thing I'm hoping is sometimes these bits they have stairs in which are very poorly made, and hopefully that's what's collapsed down the middle bit there. So you can see these are someone's possessions, and like here for example it's got a load of old newspapers and football magazines, but completely ruined in the rain. So we've been told these vehicles are all civilian vehicles the Russians stole, and when they tried to flee the Ukrainian advance, and then the Ukrainians blew them to pieces.
В частности, российской регулярной армии, так называемых бойцов ЛДНР, сепаратистов и добровольцев из России, которые запудрили мозги, значит, там российской пропаганды, но они думали, что здесь все фашисты, бандеровцы и прочие, как и утверждают российские СМИ, каратели украинские, которые ущемляют российских граждан, русскопроисходящих, точнее, русскопроисходящих граждан, которые живут в данном регионе. Вот. Начиная с сентября месяца нынешнего года провели ряд успешных контрнаступательных действий, как на Изюмско-Купинском направлении Харьковской области.
This is a rocket which has gone in and not exploded.
Здравствуйте, да, регион, мы находимся сейчас в населенном пункте Лиман, Донецкая область, который на данный момент деоккупирован. Значит, находился этот регион, в данном случае населенный пункт, ракет, ну, как правило, это комплексы С-300, которые они используют и бьют хаотично по инфраструктуре мирного населения, то есть не причиняя никакого, собственно говоря, урона живой нашей силе, технике, а в основном страдает только мирное население. И понемножку возвращаются. Конечно, очень большая проблематика в связи с похолоданием отопительным. Люди.
The Ukrainians, they are a very resourceful people. So normally in the rural areas, they'll jar and pickle food to last them over the winter. And even in the cities, a lot of people still continue that tradition of jarring and pickling food. It's not like Britain. They have seasonal vegetables over there. So if you want, I guess, strawberries in winter, you jar and pickle them. If you want tomatoes in winter, you jar and pickle them. And that's how people sustain themselves. So we're of the understanding we want to give people a lot of food and supplies in November so they can start to prepare for winter. And it may sound slightly brutal, but if they haven't prepared in November, they aren't going to make it through the winter. And that's just the reality of it. It doesn't matter if you're there to give them a little bit of aid in there. You won't be able to sustain people enough for months and months and months through the cold. They've got to really push to do that themselves as well. We'll give them a bit of a boost, a bit of help, but unfortunately they've got to do what they were doing prior to the war to try and survive through this.
Замерзает, фактически нет света. Только сейчас нужно разминировать линии электропередач, ну, дорога, где идут эти линии электропередач, потому что, уходя, российские войска как бы очень много минировали. И кассетным способом дистанционно, то есть при помощи РСЗО. Ну и также там много всяких там сюрпризов, ловушек поставляли. Как для наших бойцов, так и для мирного населения. Ну, даже там в детских игрушках, в телевизорах, в бытовой какой-то технике они поставляли так называемые сюрпризы взрывоопасные. Сюрпризы в кавычках, естественно. Ну, двигаемся дальше, как бы отвоюем всю свою землю. Чужого не надо, но своего не отдадим.
So thanks very much to Father Vladimir, his brother Pavel, and the guys for collecting this aid from the UK for us. It got brought over from the UK to Kiev, and now they're transporting it for us to Bakhmut, which is a very heavily hit area. Constant bombardment, so they need every bit of aid they can, from sanitary products, blankets, shoes, baby clothes, food, everything and anything. And these guys are very bravely going in there and taking it out as we head down to Kherson. Thank you very much. Thank you. Awesome. Perfect, pasta. So we're here in Kryvyi Rog, and the Ukrainians are towing a Russian BMP through the city. It looks like it's been captured because it's not blown up. So this place was about £12 for this evening, and it's got complimentary bottles and tyres. Look at that. Bed made out of tyres.
Hey, they've got some tread on them, we might have to have them.
Yeah, well, we do need a new tyre. Good luck.
You lifted yours up yet, mate?
I'm choosing not to. Logistics have been really hard, so the cost of living crisis has hit everyone hard across the UK and even across the world, I'd say, which has made it particularly hard to transport aid. So before, what we relied on to try and keep costs down is moving aid from the UK over to Ukraine, and we'd use minibuses. So minibuses which were evacuating people, they'd go over to Ukraine empty. So we'd send them to Ukraine full of aid, and then they'd come back with people. Due to the cost of living crisis, people can't afford to do that anymore. It's not so much people don't have the money for the diesel or to carry out the charitable missions, they just can't afford to take the time off work, which is quite upsetting and quite frustrating. So a big part of what I've been doing is arranging for items to go over to Ukraine. So it looks like all of our stuff is being moved, albeit quite slowly due to this. But that's what I've been doing in the meantime, is organising aid for us to actually deliver over there. So it takes about a month of prep to organise for a few weeks' work over there. So because of all the power outages at the moment, they've got this supply box in the lift in the block of flats we're in. It's got water, it's got nappies, it's got a bit of food, so you can last till they turn the lights on. That could be like 8 hours you'd have to be in here.
You got a box to poo in as well.
So currently in Dnipro, booked a little apartment for everyone. Cost about £15–16. But what they didn't tell us is the door's broken, so when we shut the door, it's locked us in. And they can't open it from the outside because this lock, they very kindly told us, doesn't work. So, a bit of a prison escape.
How's it go there?
Look for the guards. Henry, well done.
Henry, let me kiss you.
Let's go get some food. So we just got out and the siren's going off. It's great. Out of the pan and into the fire. The other element is there's lots of aid actually stuck at the Polish border, and this is something which I'm working on trying to crack, because the aid's there, but the people in Poland don't have the money to move it across the border into Ukraine because it costs too much in diesel. So we're working on how to tackle that. Last time we were very lucky because we had Paul's Luton van, but unfortunately that became too expensive to run, because while it was very useful in carrying large items across the border, it kept breaking down and it's very expensive to repair because it's quite a niche vehicle. So as I said, we're looking for other transport to try and move aid which is stuck at the border and otherwise just sitting in warehouses to the people at the front who really need it. So we're now on our way home, just leaving Kiev to complete our 6th mission. This time we're leaving behind a very snowy, very cold country. The people here currently do not have electricity, they do not have heating, they don't have water. It's a very sorry state of affairs and a lot worse than what we thought it would be. We always knew the winter was going to be tough. What we didn't realise is there was going to be a complete blackout across the entirety of Ukraine. So again guys, no water doesn't just mean no showers, it also means no toilets. And there's massive price inflation with food, water and essential supplies, and the fact that most people can't actually work because there's no power means that another poverty-induced crisis is going to be quite soon over here. We hope to be back shortly. We've got guys coming over back in December and more people coming over again in January, but it's going to take a huge effort to try and stop the civilian population suffering over here. So I think the key we want to emphasise with this trip is the Vans Without Borders team. We all do a fantastic job in Ukraine, but it's only possible because of the people back home and the people who help us. We work with a variety of different partners. For example, our Nissan was very kindly sourced, put together and repaired for a very good price by John's Red Bus. It's a great Ukrainian charity. We work with Tulhurst to fundraise for refugees. They give us loads of the aid we give out. They're fantastic guys. Some of my friends back in Portsmouth, Ian Dorian, everyone, great guys as well. And the list of partners is endless. We get lots of grants from different groups, as well as all the supporters online. So the key with us, when you see everything we're doing, it's not just us, there's a massive team of support behind us. And thank you to everyone so much for doing what you do so we can go and help those most vulnerable in Ukraine.